Hello everyone, Jason Ross here from Timber Construct, here today with Warren and Tim from SoundDown. Can you tell us a bit about yourself, Warren?
I spent 5 years with XLAM and then about 2 years with Red Stag, and at the end of that time decided someone needed to do something about acoustics in mass timber. Hooked up with Tim here, who had a product called SoundDown, and here we are with a product in market, and we're going gangbusters.
Tell us a bit about that product.
Tim?
Yeah, well, and when Warren came along, we had sort of one system with a couple of variations. But what was interesting with Warren's insight into mass timber, we could start looking at all of the challenges, not just acoustics in mass timber. And what else could we do? So things like this system we call Legato, enabling enough space to run services through the floor. So we actually worked on this system for the Fisher Paykel building. They wanted to run services all over the place, and we developed this essentially what we call an air batten. And this one in particular gives them about 55 mil clearance there, and it's simple. But we know that all acoustic floor systems are a pain in the butt. You know, people don't actually want to use our product. They're using it because they have to. They need to meet some building codes. And so that's okay. There's like a lot of building products. But so then we're coming at it from rather than trying to think we're the best at everything, we're going, hey, we understand this is a pain. We're trying to do everything we can to make it easier, simpler, faster to install whilst ensuring you are meeting code compliance. And so that's meant that we've continually evolved and developed the systems, and we'll continue to do that. We don't go, here it is, this is how high it is, good luck. We go, well, this is what it is, but tell us what you're trying to achieve in your project, and this may well work, or it might mean that we need to tweak it a bit. We might need to do something slightly different.
Cool thing about this is that not only is it a significantly higher acoustic floor system, it's a raised acoustic floor and an access floor in one. So it doesn't require an acoustic treatment to the CLT and then an access floor on top. With this product, you get everything with one product. The other thing we do with these is deal with wet floors. We have a product which is an XPS foam, cementitious topping, and that can sit on a pedestal right alongside with a pre-designed fall in it for showers, for wet rooms, and it removes the challenge of a screed in the bathroom and or in the shower, which in the case of a leakage in the plumbing, getting into that substrate and causing a huge amount of damage to the CLT, which is something that needs to be considered along the way.
Have there been any examples of where it's being used currently?
Yeah, well, so we've wrapped up a lot of business with Avida, Metlife, Somerset, Ryman, in the retirement space. We're doing a huge amount with those guys. Metlife particularly are doing bathroom pods, so we've got a solution that works with those bathroom pods with the transitions. So people might have mobility issues, so it's always a level entry, a level access onto the ranch sliders or the balconies.
We provided them acoustic pads to pack out the bathroom pod and give the pod itself a bit of acoustic treatment and bring it to the right height for the floors. So, you know, those are the sort of things that we'll develop. They also needed something around the back edges of the pod, which we developed for them. And these are the sorts of things that you can draw it on paper, and then the builder on site's trying to figure out how the heck he's supposed to do this thing. And we work with the design team and go, well, we can make that off site, and then he's just got a product and he just spot in.
It's like a plug and play modular type system.
A little bit, yeah.
So this system went into the new Tauranga District Council building built by Willis Bond in Tauranga. It's, I think, the tallest commercial building in Australasia, 8 stories.
Yes.
About 9,000 metres of acoustic floor went into that, and it's along these lines. Slightly different. They used a different insulation material, but in essence, SoundDown stepped up and said, yep, we can deliver these particular modules in this particular fashion, and we did installation as well. So it was the full solution that we provided LT McGuinness and Willis Bond for that project.
We're not looking to do installs so much in Australia, but what the practice of doing the installs in New Zealand has allowed us to do is learn all the little bits about what works, what doesn't, what does our system butt up next to, and how do we kind of constantly develop it so we can solve some of those. And there's been all sorts of little details that we're not seeing the other acoustic suppliers think about. They're just going, that's what we do, it's this high, you figure out how it works with everything else, you know.
We had a call from one of the architectural leads at Somerset, and Kevin said, what's your solution for a fire stop at the fire door where a corridor transitions through into the apartment? And we don't have a solution. He said, well, could you find one? So we spoke to a fire engineer, Mark Gannon Fire and Risk. We came up with a pre-assembled fire stop. This effectively sits on the floor alongside directly under the fire door and forms a 60-minute fire stop that will stop any fire that might be inside the acoustic floor transitioning into the corridor or vice versa. So it was a situation there where we went and developed a solution directly for that customer, and we're now selling hundreds of these. We just prefabricate these in our factory. They're pretty simple, but it comes with an engineering judgment which can be site specific, and it removes that problem around fire under that fire door.
So our original system, if you would imagine, didn't have these little extra legs. It just had rubber feet, and the whole system was 80 mil high. Yep. This one was an extended version to run services. But the other thing we'd done is, where you don't need services, we wanted a slim, low-profile system. So this system's called Simplice, and that's because it's simple. So it's a one-piece system. This comes in a panel. It's 1350 by 600, and they literally just slop them together and glue them. They might put temporary screws, and then that's it. So it's a relatively quick and simple system, really low profile. Because that's what mass timber buildings are always struggling with, is their overall floor-to-floor height. They're trying to get that down. So if you either go high above the floor and get some services in there and maybe reduce what you're trying to get into your ceiling or not have one, or you can go real thin and just give yourself lots of room underneath with the ceiling. So it's just about having a range of options that suit different requirements, you know.
Do you think a system like this could work in the Australian context?
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. In fact, I think the Australian market is gagging for something like this. Traditionally, they've been using concrete screeds, and adds weight, complexity, and it slows down the build. This kind of technology, these kind of solutions, allows the project to, be on track. With the Willis Bond, the Tauranga District Council project, we finished 6 weeks ahead of program on that job. I mean, the magnesium board we use is a relatively heavy product, but it's certainly a lot lighter than concrete screed. So the market over here is just gagging for that, but moreover, they're hanging out for a systems-based approach. So at SoundDown, we deliver everything that is needed for the project: screws, glue, insulation, batten, topping, and the know-how to support the process. It's not just, here it is, a bag of tricks, good luck. It's ensuring that the customer gets a complete solution and is satisfied. But in the first instance, we really clearly scope that project. So we look at it much in the same way as a CLT project. Send me a drawing, we do a takeoff, we price that up, we send back some pricing to the customer, a quote. It could be, landed in Sydney or Melbourne, or it could be FOB Auckland, wherever it happens to be, whatever they might want. And they've got a clear understanding of the price before the project has even left the country, which gives them certainty around cost, which everybody needs to know. How much is it going to cost? It's the number one question we get asked a lot. How much is it going to cost?
I think that's the difficulty, because a lot of mass timbers come out of Europe. There's European systems, and some of them may work really well, but they can be cumbersome, and cost is always prohibitive. Like I say, just like we're trying to be adaptable with everything, we're also considering the fact that this system adds cost to the building. What are we doing to get that down? How do we, both in the materials, but also time on site? So if something is requiring layers and layers, that's a lot of time. And so in New Zealand, we're, not to brag, but we're having incredible success. there's really not a mass timber project that we won't win in our floors. In fact, our competitor said at a recent event, if we see you're involved, we just don't bother.
Yeah.
The CLT is CLT.
Yeah.
The variation between the different competitors might be panel thickness, but in essence, we can work with any of the European suppliers, any of the local suppliers. It makes no difference to us. In actual fact, that can even extend to a joisted floor, a cassette floor, a traditional build where there might be dual tenancy involved, and they need an acoustic treatment between those floors. We can work in that space. It doesn't have to be specifically, mass timber CLT.
Thank you very much for your time, guys, and can't wait to see the rest of the conference.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Cheers.